You're listening to the Pink Property Podcast, where each week we will discuss hot property topics, introduce you to members of our team as well as special guests, and let you know about all the things that are going on at David Lee. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm Lee O'Brien from David Lee, here with David Kirby.
Morning.
And this week we wanted to talk to you as our last episode of the year of 2021.
Yep.
We wanted to talk you through the year so far, some of the things that you need to know, the top things that happened over this year, and then we'll set our sights on 2022, and we'll talk through our predictions as we did last year for the coming year, and we'll also be able to click back and see how close or far away we were with our predictions from last year. So big thing that happened, well, a consistent thing that happened throughout the year, which was a real driver in the market, was that the base rate was held at a record low throughout the year. They thought it might have started to rise as we came into this sort of November, December market, but it didn't. It held firm. So the base rate has remained dead still all the way through the year, which has kept the interest rates low, kept the mortgages cheap and affordable.
Yeah, which is great. And then a big thing that we saw affect the market massively was the stamp duty holiday and stamp duty reliefs. So there were 3 points to that this year. We had the March deadline, which most people missed. A lot of people tried to hit it but missed it, which then got extended to June, which a lot of people did hit. And a lot of people moved over that early summer period, and we had record numbers of people moving in that sort of April, May and June.
It was a big one, wasn't it?
It was massive for us and the country. And then after that, the people that missed the good one in June managed to still save some money for the September deadline, which then gave us another boost of people moving in September. So this market this year has been driven, peaks and troughs by that stamp duty, and it's made a lot of people move.
And those three peaks in the market have been really quite clear in the numbers, haven't they?
Massive.
In terms of higher levels of exchange rate, and then it drops away and then it boosts again. So every 3 months this year we had a real spike of activity, which put the solicitors under massive pressure at the time. But that is sort of how this year has gone.
Absolutely.
Driving.
Absolutely.
We've hit an all-time average house price. So across the UK, the average house price achieved this year has been at an all-time high. There is, for the first time since I think it was 07 or 09, every region in the UK had an increase and an uplift in those house prices. We did a podcast on that a few weeks ago, but overall at the moment it's a rise of 11.5% in average house prices, bringing your average home to 287,895. So that's where it sits at the moment across the UK as a whole. But record prices really all round there.
And same on the letting side. So we've seen a big increase in rental prices, up across the country at 7% increase across the year. Something we predicted last year that we thought the price was going to increase, and they have. Massive increase on rentals, which I think is going to continue to grow slightly less. We're probably predicted at about 4% for next year, but rental growth, which is great. Something that we've seen from that rental growth is a lot more investment buyers.
They've returned, haven't they?
They have. So we have a list of very hot investor buyers again, which we haven't had for a while. Investment buyers, went a bit quiet, were a bit unsure on whether they wanted to enter the market, but we're back. People are seeing the value in property investment. They're seeing a good return now on their investment, and we've got a good list of strong investor buyers back in the market.
Yeah, definitely. It's been really good to see, actually.
Yeah.
So there has been a slight easing off as we've come to the end of the year now. So where there was literally a frenzy around the market through large parts of this year, we have started to see things ease away as we've come into December. However, I don't think that's predicted to last. I think it is just people gearing down into Christmas, which would normally happen, but it's just become quite noticeable as it's changed in the market. So not quite as frenzied as we come into the end of the year, but I think we can talk about that now in terms of outlook. I don't think that's going to remain. Looking forward, looking forward into 2022 and what we expect of 2022, we'll do some predictions around house prices, but I think first there is a few sort of fundamentals within the market and driving the economy and around the market that I think need to be considered. There are still high levels of employment.
Yep.
Record numbers of jobs available for people. So the employment side is good.
Yeah.
We're seeing inflation, and we're seeing inflation into wages as well. So people's earnings and income is going up. There is still huge demand and quite, I would say, an undersupply for the market at the moment. I think for great houses, we've got 20, 30 viewings going ahead on a weekend and multiple offers. So there is definitely still real strong demand in the market. And I think we will see house prices continue to rise.
Yeah.
Probably not quite as big as last year in terms
no.
of the percentage growth that we saw. But I think the outlook still remains really, really positive, doesn't it? We do think that there is a strong possibility of a base rate rise. And you were talking to our financial guy just this week about
absolutely. So Ray at Foster's Financial that we work alongside has certainly noticed the interest rates on mortgages have increased recently. Still low, but they are going up. So they're trickling up, and his prediction is definitely base rate increases next year, which obviously will lead to an increase in your mortgage rate. So if you're thinking of remortgaging or fixing a rate, certainly now's a good time to do it. They're not going to go down again, I wouldn't have thought, but they quite possibly trickle up next year. So if you're thinking of remortgages and staying put at the moment, get it done soon. But again, if you are moving, they are still cheap. Mortgages, fixed rates are good value at the moment.
So I think in terms of what they were expecting to happen pre-Christmas as we were running in was probably a 0.25% rise on the Bank of England base rate. Obviously that didn't happen, but is expected probably within the first quarter of next year. And it may be one of two rises that they make of the same amount next year. And there was an economist that we listened to that had made a strong prediction that he sees the interest rate at 1.25% by the end of next year. So I don't think that's too unrealistic, knowing the inflationary pressures that are on the government at the moment. But looks like the mortgage companies are already pricing it into their products. So those mortgage rates might go up a little bit, but we are talking small margins here. We're not talking a 3% base movement. There is small margins of growth. So predictions. David, what do you think we are looking at from a house price perspective as we go into 2022? What's your prediction?
So I don't think we'll see the increase that we did see last year, but like Lee said, the demand for property, the number of buyers is massively outweighing the number of sellers, which is going to naturally lead to a price increase. So 4% next year, probably my prediction.
So we did this exercise last year. So let's clip to what David's prediction was of last year.
My feeling, I think we've seen a decent increase locally. Certain areas of Bishop Stortford, I think we've probably seen a 10% growth in price rather than a 7.2%. Obviously, there are other areas that haven't, which works on that average. But certain areas, Elsnham as a village, I think has really increased in value over time, and they've invested in the village. So, I'm not sure we're going to see that sort of level again next year at 7.2%. I think we've had too much of a rise this year. However, I do still think an increase. I think there's going to be loads of transactions, loads of confidence in the market, and my figure is 3%.
3% growth in 2021. There you go. Okay, my turn. So a little bit lower, a little bit undercooked on where we were, but
I misjudged that one. So
I just don't think we'd quite fully anticipated the pressure on the pricing and the lack of stock. I think that was...
the stamp duty really pushed so many more, certainly buyers into the market. They just squeezed those prices. We weren't aware that, that was going to get extended and would bring so many buyers to the market.
It did. And actually transactions, we didn't talk about that, but transaction levels, certainly for us as a business, and I think for the UK as a whole, when it's all tallied up at the end of the year, it will be a record number of transactions this year for number of sales that had occurred. So my prediction for the coming year, it's a little bit stronger, it's 4.5%. have a look at what I said last year? I'm a little bit more bullish, but not too much. I agree. I think there's been still lots of juice in the tank for people that want to come this way, want to make those moves. I think people still want to move within the region. And I think 4% is a realistic growth rate for next year.
Cool.
Totally agree. I think we've had the heavy lift of price rise, and now I just think it would be something a bit more consistent, which is actually a lovely market to be part of.
It's a bit safer for everyone.
I'm a homeowner. From a buyer's point of view, prices aren't racing away from you as you're trying to buy from week to week. There's a bit more consistency in the market at that level. I'm going to hang my hat on 4. So quite similar to what I said last year, but I do think we will be in what might be known as a bit more of a normal market, and I think that might be a bit more a normal steady growth rate for the market as we go into next year. So hopefully we're going to still see a nice steady rise and have a great market to work within next year with lots of transactions.
I think it'll be a great market next year. I think the rental market's going to stay strong. Big demand from tenants still. Lots of people want to live around the areas that we work in, and very popular. So I'm hoping, and fingers crossed, it'll be a great year next year.
Yeah. So this is the last episode this year. We really enjoyed doing the podcast. Thank you so much as ever for tuning in and subscribing to the channel. We are looking to close the business on the 23rd of December this year at 2 o'clock. We're open for a couple of 3 days in between, and then back to full swing and full open on the 4th of January. And then next year, season 3 of the podcast, we're coming back on the 9th of January, and we've got a new theme for next year. So there'll be a trailer coming out soon to let you know a little bit more about what we're doing as we go into next year. But thank you as ever for watching and listening to us this year, and hope you have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year.
Watch the podcast every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Get notified by hitting that subscribe button right now.